Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. I know it has been a minute and a half. Not by design. I wanted the next video to be a review, as you can tell by the title, of my new bed cover. I've actually ordered it 3 separate times and it took over a month and a half to get here with all the shortages. The first time I ordered it, it was delayed over a month. I said I can't wait any longer. Ordered it from Amazon. They sent me the cover for a different truck, even though I ordered the one for this truck. Sent that back and then ordered it from a third vendor. Finally, it has arrived, so let me show it to you. We have the beautiful new RetraxOne XR. So what is that? Well, the Retrax is the brand. The One describes these slats you see here, and the XR describes the rails. One of the main reasons I've decided to do this instead of the topper is that with the heavy duty truck, it's a little bit bigger than the 1500, and the topper would, I think, just make it feel even larger. And I just kind of felt a little strange about putting a topper on a truck that could, do with a fifth wheel. It seems to take away some of the, potential capacity of the truck. I just didn't like the idea of it. So I went back to the bed cover, and I've been with the backflip for 7 years. I went with Paragon for a short time, and I thought, now is probably a good time to try the roll-up covers. I've never done one before. I had thought about it, so I went ahead and ordered this one. You can see I mentioned a second ago that the One, in terms of the title, the RetraxOne describes this panel. This panel is one piece of plastic. The Retrax Pro is the alternate version, the one version up. The slats are bigger. They're probably about 3 of these wide, and they're individual aluminum slats, and they're sort of stitched together from the underside, as I understand it. I actually wanted this look. I preferred the smaller slat look, which is why I went with the One over the Pro. It's a little probably unusual, but that's what I wanted. So start here at the back, just show you how it operates. This pops up. I think the first thing that may go will be how this sort of sits in here. It's like a friction fit. This one I think may pop up as time goes by. To unlock it, it's a bit counterintuitive. You turn it to the right, so clockwise, and you press the button, shoots up, and simply push. And that's all the way open. So as you can see, it operates very smoothly. It rolls up into this canister. One of the big pluses that I liked about the Retrax over the Paragon, I had the Paragon. I'll put the review either in a card sort of up in the corner of this video or in the description below. That one, the main problem was it folded up into the front of the bed, from the back towards the cab. It folded up here, but there was no canister that just lived here to contain it. So if you had luggage in the back and you hit the brakes and it slid forward, you would be unable to open the cover when you press down on it. That was a Paragon one. So this takes care of that issue. This canister is always here, meaning any luggage that slides forward will hit the canister and it'll still allow you to open this cover. So that problem solved. I lived with the backflip in my other truck for 7-8 years. I never had more than 2 occasions in all that time where I was like, hey, I need all 6.5 feet of the bed. The one exception is when I go skiing. My skis are 6.5 feet, well, almost 6 feet 2 inches long. So they sit all the way down the length of the bed, but they'll sit underneath this canister. That won't be a problem. And now that we've got this open and I'm sort of talking about the skis, we'll transition to these rails, the XR versus I believe it's the MX or something like that. This rail allows you to drop in this slot here, these T-slots, basically a roof rack. You can get a roof rack going all the way across and put your skis mounted here, some additional carrying capacity. So For me, if I have this whole bottom, the whole bed filled with luggage and poles and whatever, I can put my skis on top. That is way more than enough room than I'll ever, more than enough room for me, way more than I'll ever need. So that is exactly why I've decided to go with this at the bed rail. Yes, this is not quite as flush, but the finish on this rail is outstanding. It matches the sort of plastic finish almost perfectly. So when you stand back and you look at the truck, you really can't even tell that it's there. And yet it comes up about a 3/4 of an inch, but on the size of this truck, you don't notice it when you're looking back, and it just looks very, very well fit and trim. You can see the rail is perfectly contoured here to the shape of the plastic bed cap. See, coming in here, you'll see the drainage tubes. Zoom in on those guys. There. So I've run them from the canister to the side holes there. This one I've got to fix. You can see it's kind of a U-bend. It'll cool in the bottom. That one's a little bit better. So I can just shorten that one up. That'll be fine. So far I've been very pleased with how this has operated and worn. I've had it about a month. Open this up and take a look in the bed here to show you how the rail clamps to it. The clamps are very well designed. The rails just sit on the bed, and these clamps clamp the rail to the bed rail underneath there, and have a separate bolt to, I guess, fine tune or adjust the cover rails here to ensure that they're sort of straight up and down, or at the appropriate angle to allow for the best and smoothest operation of the cover as it rolls forward. So you'll probably be wondering as well what this is. These two white things, those are plastic offset screws. They can be screwed in and out to ensure that this rail here, running up and down the length of the bed, up towards there, down towards the back here, to ensure that this rail is perpendicular to the housing on obviously both sides. So I installed this myself in about an hour and 10-15 minutes, and that includes unboxing to assembling the front canister to the rails, lifting it onto the truck. The only thing I required help with was lifting it onto the truck. Had my wife out here. It's not particularly heavy. She said it was lighter than she expected. So it's basically mostly a one-man install. I will say these little screws here, they pretty much the only thing that connects the rails to this guy. There are a couple of connections back in here, but it's like a plastic, not a plastic screw or anything. It's like a plastic receiving hole with a metal screw. It doesn't really do much in terms of structural support. It's more of just an alignment thing. So with that in mind, I think if I were designing this, I might over-engineer this connection a little bit, but because it's sitting where it is, it has no issue with support or structure, obviously. Coming right up to the bulkhead now, you'll see this flange. My flange does go over the, call it the bulkhead a little bit. I think they say if you have any issues to trim this back so it doesn't seep under. I think I'm going to be fine. I haven't had any issues. I've been through a couple of car washes, no problem. Up here, I will say these hoses do a good job. These hoses, by the way, are not for, if it rains, but it's when the cover is wet and you roll it into the canister, water will drip down into the bottom of the canister here and then drain out those tubes. The one area of weakness for this cover The one area of weakness for this cover, waterproofing wise at least, is right here. You'll see I'm able to close the tailgate without having to deal with this. That's because there's no additional, seal that comes over to this guy. Water will seep in this way. If you're parked and it's sort of raining down that way, it'll seep in here, and probably get to the first foot and a half of bed. Not a ton, just a little bit damp. So if that's something you're worried about, maybe beef up this seal a little bit. It kind of runs at a 45 that way, the seal here. Pop it out, you can see it a little bit. If you're worried about it, maybe run something around the tailgate. For me, it's not as waterproof as the backflip was, because it had the seal that came out, but that did require me to lift the cover up every time I shut the tailgate. So it's a bit of a compromise. I don't really mind it. The thing for me that's better about this cover than Paragon, again, is this piece is all one piece of plastic, so there's zero opportunity for water to get through here. And I found that to be the case when I went to the car wash. So let's sum things up. All right, pros, I think you'll agree it looks fantastic. It's just very sleek. When you unroll it the first time, you might see some dimpling on the cover just from it being rolled up in the canister for a while, but that all rolls and flattens out. The roof rack mounts here, these things are going to add a whole bunch of storage when I need it, and you can take them off and store them away in the garage when I don't. It's really, really secure. Again, this is really thick aluminum, really strong deadbolt latch system here. I'd say this is probably just as secure as Paragon, which I felt was very, very secure, and more secure than the backflip cover for comparisons if you've owned either of those. And as far as the topper goes, that was interesting. You think the topper is really secure, but the latch mechanism on the Lear, when you pop it up, I think that was very easy to just pry open. It looks secure, not necessarily is. So I'm going to say this is probably more secure than the Lear as well. Second, or I don't know where we are on the pro list, but next pro is it operates really, really easily. Pop this up, push this button. The other thing which I didn't mention already is you can lock this at any point along here. So there we go. You can latch this at any point along. It's a continuous sort of locking thing. So I've actually done this twice where I've had lumber sticking out the back. Just roll this right up against the lumber and push down, and you're able to secure the wood that's sticking out the back in place without having to worry about strapping it down. Okay, next to last pro, drains really well. So there's no drainage along the railing. It just sits on top, drills all the way down the canister. Any water that sits on top rolls into the canister when you roll this up, right out the drain tubes. So that's I found to function, just as intended, just as designed. And the last pro, which I think all of you home guys will appreciate, is that it's super easy, super easy to install. It was easier than the backflip was. It was easier than the Paragon was. Alignment just went straight in, no problem. I don't know if that's just a symptom of it happened to fit this truck bed perfectly, or if it's just that way for all trucks, but this was just went straight in, aligned perfectly right away. That's what kept my install time down to about an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, so those are the pros. Getting over to the cons now, which admittedly aren't very many, probably because this is on the premium side of bed covers, but there's not very many cons. So it's not the best waterproofing right here. It is better than some right here. I'd say it's about equal to Paragon here at this tailgate section, but far superior to Paragon along the cover itself, which is really mostly what I care about. Not quite as good as my backflip experience, Obviously not quite as good as the topper. So I'm gonna say maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 on waterproofing. I don't know if you were watching along on the Paragon video. That one I gave it about a 5, and the backflip an 8. So it's real close. I think if I were to put in some additional sealing here, it would easily be an 8 or a 9. So small con there. And then takes up bed space. So the con is that the canister at the bulkhead does take up bed space. However, in my opinion, for my uses, the roof rack tracks will sort of remove that as a problem altogether. But other than that, I didn't find any other cons. So if you need a cover that's secure, looks fantastic, operates well, especially when you have it full of the bed full of stuff, this cover's for you. If you like easy operation, if you like having the ability to close it at any point along the sort of opening track, this cover is for you. If you have, I'll say, tall and long loads, something where you need to close the tailgate, like maybe a motorcycle, and you need to go all the way to the bulkhead with it, and maybe not for you. But I'd say for most people, this cover will do really, really well. These tracks can hold quite a bit of weight depending on the roof rack that you install. You can put a rooftop tent on the top of your bed, so you overland guys, this might even interest you as well. Alright, so that's going to do it. Wrap up the review of the RetraxOne XR bed cover. If you enjoyed this video, give the video a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and we'll see you next time.